Glenn, so you're the owner of this L-39.
Yes.
How long have you had it?
It's about 3.5 years since I bought it. Bought off a guy named Robert Morris Brock in Wanaka. He'd already imported it into New Zealand.
So what's the long-term history of this machine? Do you know much about it?
Originally built in Czechoslovakia. They have, I think it's a Russian engine, Ivchenko Progress TL-25. Went into the Ukrainian Air Force. Then after the Cold War, when they started selling off all this stuff at bargain basement prices, I understand Paul Allen, who's got a museum in the US, bought it, and he subsequently sold it to Robert. And then I bought it off, Robert bought it up here.
So do you fly it yourself?
I do, yes, I'm rated in it. Got about 70 hours airtime in it.
Oh. So is this your first aircraft, or have you had other warbirds?
I fly the T-28 Trojan. I've got a share in that. I fly Harvard 53, just parked over next to us. A little Slingsby Firefly. That's pretty well, yeah, that's about it.
So what's your aviation background? Just general aviation, or do you have some sort of military background? Or?
Just GA. I was in the army, but they don't have aeroplanes in the army.
Certainly the last few years, with what, 4 L-39s in the country now, I think?
Yeah, there's actually a 5th one just arrived.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And we've got the Vampires, of course,
Yeah.
Strike Masters. There seems to be a bit of a jet resurgence. Do you think that's down partly to you guys with the 39s?
No, it's just quietly bubbling away in the background. I actually did a count up today with the guy who owns the Venom, and there's something like 16 military jets in New Zealand now that are operational.
So I hadn't actually counted up, I didn't realise it was quite that many.
Yeah, it's quite surprising.
So for the uninitiated, what's it like in the jet compared to, say, the Trojan?
It's actually easier to fly than the Trojan because there's no engine management to worry about. It's a bit quicker. Obviously the cruise speed's a lot better. As far as flying in the circuit goes, everything's only about 10 knots faster than the T-28, so it wasn't really a very hard jump into the jet. It has lots of nice things like pressurisation, air conditioning and that kind of thing. A lot less noise, the noise is behind you. Yeah, it's an absolute delightfully pleasant aeroplane to fly.
And so that's what it is from your perspective, just a pleasant runabout to enjoy on a good day like today?
Yeah, I think obviously aerobatics is probably the most enjoyable part of it. Going out, probably doing a couple of loops and rolls and whatever, it's the most exciting part of flying a military jet, doing manoeuvres at 300 knots. It's pulling some quite heavy sustained Gs. A normal loop takes up about 3,500 feet, so it's taken a lot of sky. So the G is quite sustained and it's quite hard on your body, I guess, but you do get used to it. You just brace yourself for it.
So one of the air shows we had here in New Zealand last year was the first time we saw a formation of 6 ex-military jets, I think. The only previous formation of that size was the Air Force's Kiwi Red Skyhawk team. Do you think there'll be much more scope for a civil jet team like that in future?
Yeah, I believe the Masterton people are talking about doing something similar again next time. So I hope they do. It would be nice to actually have a proper jet team with a name and maybe a bit of sponsorship or something where we could do the whole air show circuit. Now that there's 5 L-39s, hopefully that'll make an excellent team if we can get them all together, but they're all in private ownership, and that always creates a few issues sometimes, just when people wanted to release their aircraft for other people to fly. There's only one of the owners actually does air shows, and that's Peter Balls.
And I guess the geographic separation of them all in New Zealand is a bit of an issue as well.
Yeah, they're literally scattered all over the country. There isn't 2 of them at the same spot. But we're all in contact with each other, and every now and then you get a phone call from one of the other owners asking if you've got a certain part they're looking for. yeah, we'll get along pretty well. It's important to support the other guys if you can too. I think we do something pretty special here. We don't just keep them, we keep them flying. And the other great thing we have is the syndicate thing, where you can buy a share in a Harvard for about 10 grand or something and learn to fly the thing. So you don't have to be rich to be part of it either. There's no one else in the world doing that from what I can see. It's a pretty rare thing.